You're 28 years old and still serving tables at that little diner? My Aunt Patricia announced to our entire Thanksgiving gathering, her voice cutting through conversations like a blade through silk. When are you going to accept that some people just aren't meant for success? 3 months later, that same woman watched in stunned silence as Forbes delivered my Fortune 500 Corporate Innovation Award to our family dinner table, recognizing the tech empire I had built while she thought I was just pouring coffee and taking orders. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The fluorescent lights of Henderson's family diner cast their familiar harsh glow across the worn linoleum floors as I tied my apron strings for what I promised myself would be among the last times. At 28, I had been working the morning shift at this roadside establishment for 3 years, serving coffee and scrambled eggs to truckers, construction workers, and the occasional business traveler who had taken a wrong turn off Interstate 40 near Millbrook, Tennessee. To anyone observing my daily routine, I appeared to be exactly what Aunt Patricia had proclaimed, another small-town waitress whose ambitions had never materialized into anything substantial. My uniform consisted of a powder blue dress with Henderson's embroidered in cheerful yellow script across the chest pocket, comfortable walking shoes that had seen better days, and a perpetual smile that masked the exhaustion of working double shifts while pursuing dreams that no one in my family understood or supported. The customers who frequented Henderson's saw me as Sarah Collins, the friendly waitress who remembered their usual orders and always kept their coffee cups filled. They had no idea that the woman refilling their creamer dispensers had been teaching herself advanced programming languages during every spare moment, building sophisticated software applications on a second-hand laptop that lived in the storage room behind the industrial dishwasher, or that she had already begun generating revenue from technology solutions that addressed real business problems for clients across multiple industries. My workspace in that storage room represented the collision of two entirely different universes. Boxes of paper napkins and industrial-sized containers of ketchup shared shelf space with programming manuals I had borrowed from the regional library system. The folding card table that served as my desk was wedged between a mop bucket and cases of disposable coffee cups, creating an environment that would have horrified the venture capitalists who were already beginning to take notice of my work, though they had no idea that their correspondence was being answered from behind a diner kitchen. The laptop itself told a story of determination and resourcefulness that defined my approach to building a technology business on a waitress salary. A Dell Inspiron from 2019 that I had purchased from a pawn shop with 3 weeks of tip money. The machine had a cracked screen that I had repaired using YouTube tutorials, and a battery that required constant charging due to age-related deterioration. Despite its limitations, this computer had become the foundation for a software development operation that was already processing thousands of dollars in monthly transactions. My programming education had occurred entirely through self-directed learning that took place during the gaps between breakfast rush and lunch preparation, late evening hours after the diner closed, and early morning sessions before my shifts began. I consumed every available online tutorial, coding bootcamp video, and technical documentation that addressed web development, database management, and business software applications. The education was comprehensive and practical, focused on solving real problems rather than theoretical concepts that might never find practical application. The specific niche I had discovered emerged from my observations of small business operations during my waitressing experience. Henderson's Diner, like thousands of similar establishments across America, struggled with inefficient inventory management, scheduling complications, customer relationship tracking, and financial reporting that relied on outdated systems and manual processes that created constant headaches for business owners. These operational challenges represented opportunities for technology solutions that could streamline workflows while reducing costs and improving customer service. My first software application addressed restaurant inventory management by creating automated tracking systems that prevented food waste while ensuring adequate supply levels. The system integrated purchase orders, delivery schedules, and consumption patterns to generate alerts when specific items needed reordering, while providing analytics that helped restaurant owners understand which menu items generated the highest profit margins relative to ingredient costs and preparation time. The development process for this application required learning multiple programming languages, understanding database architecture, and creating user interfaces that would be intuitive. For restaurant staff who lack technical training, I taught myself Python for back-end development, JavaScript for front-end interactivity, and SQL for database management, while studying user experience design principles that would make the software accessible to busy restaurant workers who needed solutions that simplified rather than complicated their daily routines. Testing the application at Henderson's provided real-world validation that the software addressed genuine business needs while revealing areas for improvement that only became apparent through practical implementation. Tom Henderson, the diner's owner, initially expressed skepticism about allowing his waitress to experiment with restaurant operations using homemade computer programs. However, his attitude shifted dramatically when the inventory system reduced food waste by 37% during the first month of implementation, while automating ordering processes that had previously required several hours of manual calculation each week. The success at Henderson's created my first case study for marketing the inventory management system to other small restaurants in the region. I developed a portfolio that included before and after metrics, demonstrating cost savings, efficiency, improvements, and workflow optimization that resonated with restaurant owners who faced similar operational challenges. The presentation materials emphasized practical benefits and return on investment rather than technical specifications that would be meaningless to business owners focused on daily operational concerns. My client acquisition strategy relied on personal networking within the local business community, rather than expensive marketing campaigns that exceeded my limited budget. I attended Chamber of Commerce meetings, joined restaurant industry associations, and participated in small business development workshops, where I could meet potential clients while learning about their specific operational challenges and technology needs. The first paying client came through a referral from Tom Henderson to Maria Santos, who owned a family-style Mexican restaurant in nearby Franklin. Maria's establishment faced inventory challenges similar to Henderson's, but complicated by the specialized ingredients required for authentic Mexican cuisine and supplier relationships that operated on different delivery schedules than traditional restaurant suppliers. Customizing the inventory system for these specific requirements taught me valuable lessons about software scalability and the importance of flexible architecture that could accommodate diverse business models within the same industry vertical. The revenue from that first external client provided validation that my technology solutions had genuine market value, while generating income that supplemented my waitressing wages. The $2,000 implementation fee represented more money than I typically earned in 6 weeks at the diner, demonstrating the potential for technology services to generate significantly higher income than service industry employment, even when working with small business clients who had limited technology budgets. Expanding the client base required systematic marketing efforts that leveraged satisfied customer testimonials while addressing the skepticism that many small business owners expressed about technology solutions developed by individuals rather than established software companies. I created detailed case studies that documented specific operational improvements achieved by existing clients, including quantified benefits such as reduced food costs, improved inventory accuracy, and time savings that translated directly to labor cost reductions. The geographic expansion strategy focused on small cities and towns throughout Tennessee and neighboring states, where restaurant owners faced similar operational challenges but had limited access to affordable technology, solutions designed specifically for their needs. Many existing software options were either too expensive for small establishments or too complex for implementation without dedicated technical support staff that these businesses could not afford to employ. My competitive advantage emerged from understanding the practical realities of small restaurant operations combined with technical skills that enabled custom solution development at price points that made sense for businesses with modest profit margins. While enterprise software companies focused on large chain restaurants with substantial technology budgets, I concentrated on independent establishments that needed affordable solutions designed specifically for their operational scale and resource constraints. The workload of managing both waitressing responsibilities and a growing software business created scheduling challenges that required careful time management and energy allocation. My typical day began at 4:30 a.m. with 2 hours of programming, work before my 7 a.m. diner shift, continued with client communications during break periods throughout the day, and concluded with additional development work after Henderson's closed at 9 p.m. This schedule provided approximately 6 hours of technology work daily while maintaining the full-time income that covered my basic living expenses. The physical demands of waitressing competed directly with the mental energy required for complex programming tasks, creating fatigue management challenges that affected both my service industry performance and my software development productivity. Learning to optimize energy allocation throughout the day became crucial for maintaining quality standards in both professional activities while preserving enough physical and mental resources for continued learning and business development. The isolation of pursuing technology entrepreneurship while working in a traditional service industry environment created social and emotional challenges that required deliberate attention to relationship maintenance and community connection. My co-workers at Henderson's initially expressed confusion about my programming activities, while my growing network of technology clients existed primarily through digital communications rather than face-to-face relationships that provided emotional support during challenging periods. My family's reaction to my technology pursuits ranged from polite disinterest to active discouragement, with Aunt Patricia serving as the most vocal critic of what she characterized as unrealistic fantasies. That distracted from accepting practical limitations and pursuing conventional career advancement within established industries. Family gatherings became increasingly uncomfortable, as my relatives expressed concern about my apparent inability to commit fully to either waitressing career development or serious pursuit of more traditional professional opportunities. The apartment where I lived during this period reflected the economic constraints and dual identity that defined my daily existence. A studio unit in a converted warehouse district that had not yet experienced gentrification, the space cost $450 monthly and included basic utilities, but lacked the high-speed internet connection that would have been ideal for software development work. I had installed a business-grade internet service at my own expense, creating a monthly technology infrastructure cost that represented a significant percentage of my waitressing income, but proved essential for client communications and cloud-based development activities. The furniture in my apartment consisted primarily of items purchased from secondhand stores or acquired through online classified advertisements, with the notable exception of a high-quality office chair that I had purchased new after experiencing back problems from extended programming sessions on inadequate seating. This chair represented one of my first major investments in my technology business infrastructure, demonstrating my commitment to treating software development as a serious professional activity rather than a casual hobby. Preparing and narrating. This story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. My development environment included multiple monitors used from a local electronics reseller, creating a workspace that enabled efficient programming while maintaining the professional appearance necessary for video conferences with clients who expected their technology vendors to demonstrate competence through their presentation and communication standards. The contrast between my sophisticated technical setup and my modest living circumstances reflected the resource allocation decisions required to build a technology business while maintaining basic living standards on service industry wages. The financial management required to balance current survival needs with future business investment created budgeting challenges that demanded careful planning and disciplined spending decisions. Every dollar allocated to technology infrastructure, professional development, or business marketing represented money that could not be spent on improving my immediate living conditions or building traditional emergency savings that financial advisors typically recommend for economic security. This careful resource management taught valuable lessons about entrepreneurial decision-making and risk assessment that would prove crucial as my business scaled beyond individual client implementations to systematic growth strategies. The experience of building a technology company while maintaining basic financial survival created practical understanding of cash flow management, investment prioritization, and resource optimization that many entrepreneurs with more substantial financial backing never develop through direct experience. The diner's evening cleaning routine provided my most productive programming hours, as the kitchen equipment created background noise that masked my keyboard activity while the empty dining room offered uninterrupted focus for complex development tasks. These late-night sessions became the foundation for my most innovative software features, developed during hours when my creative energy peaked and external distractions reached their minimum levels. As I completed the nightly cleaning checklist, for what I knew would be among the final times, I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this threshold moment between my service industry past and my technology future. The woman who would soon receive recognition from Fortune magazine for corporate innovation had spent countless hours mopping floors and washing dishes while building the software solutions that would eventually transform how thousands of small businesses manage their operations. The notification sound from my laptop, emanating from behind the industrial dishwasher, indicated another client inquiry that would require response after I finished closing the diner. These constant digital interruptions had become symbols of the parallel universe I was constructing, while the rest of my family remained convinced that I was simply postponing acceptance of practical limitations that they believed defined realistic expectations for someone with my background and circumstances. Tomorrow would bring another day of serving coffee and managing customer complaints, while simultaneously coordinating software implementations and planning technology solutions that addressed increasingly complex business challenges. The contradiction between my visible daily activities and my actual professional development continued to provide cover for building a business that would soon outgrow the concealment that had enabled its initial development within the unlikely environment of a small-town diner storage room. Millbrook, Tennessee existed in the space between progress and tradition, a town of 8,000 residents where generational patterns determined expectations more powerfully than individual aspirations. The community had been built around textile manufacturing that provided steady employment for 3 generations until global economic shifts moved production overseas, leaving behind a population that understood the value of reliable work, but struggled to envision pathways toward economic advancement that extended beyond traditional service industries and manual labor. The downtown district reflected this economic transition through a mixture of thriving local businesses and empty storefronts that once housed retailers serving factory workers with disposable income. Henderson's Family Diner occupied a corner, building that had originally been constructed in 1967 to serve breakfast and lunch to textile workers during shift changes. The diner's survival through the economic transformation demonstrated the enduring demand for affordable food service, while its modest profit margins illustrated the financial constraints that defined small business operations in post-industrial communities. Tom Henderson had inherited the diner from his father, who had established the business during the textile industry's peak years, when consistent customer traffic from factory workers provided predictable revenue streams. The younger Henderson had witnessed the gradual decline in customer volume as manufacturing jobs disappeared, forcing him to adapt operations through extended hours, expanded menu offerings, and aggressive cost management that maintained viability, while limiting growth potential and operational improvements. The diner's physical environment embodied the practical compromises that defined small business operations in economically challenged communities. Equipment that should have been replaced years earlier continued functioning through Tom's mechanical skills and determination to avoid capital expenditures that would strain cash flow. The coffee machine required daily maintenance procedures that consumed 20 minutes of preparation time each morning. The refrigeration units operated with efficiency levels that increased electricity costs while creating temperature inconsistencies that complicated food safety protocols. The dining room featured vinyl booth seating that had been repaired multiple times using duct tape and patches that created a patchwork appearance suggesting economic necessity rather than aesthetic choice. The laminate tabletops showed wear, patterns from decades of use, while the acoustic tile ceiling displayed water stains from minor roof leaks that had been addressed with temporary solutions due to the cost of comprehensive repairs. These visual indicators of deferred maintenance created an atmosphere that prioritized function over form while communicating the economic realities that shaped business decisions. The customer base consisted primarily of local residents whose own economic circumstances reflected the broader challenges facing the community. Construction workers appreciated the generous portion sizes and affordable prices that provided substantial meals within limited food budgets. Truck drivers valued the convenient location and 24-hour availability that accommodated irregular schedules and time pressures. Retirees on fixed incomes found social connection and familiar comfort food that fit their financial constraints while providing daily routine and community interaction. These customers represented the economic ecosystem that determined Henderson's operational parameters and revenue potential. Their spending patterns reflected careful budget management rather than discretionary dining choices, creating price sensitivity that prevented menu adjustments that might improve profit margins but would eliminate customer segments that could not afford higher costs. The diner's success depended on volume operations that maintained affordability while generating sufficient revenue to cover operational expenses and provide Tom Henderson with modest owner compensation. The staff consisted of 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time workers whose backgrounds reflected the limited employment opportunities available in the community. Martha Williams had worked at Henderson's for 15 years, beginning as a teenager saving money for college before family circumstances required her to remain in Millbrook to care for aging parents. Her institutional knowledge of customer preferences and operational procedures made her invaluable for training new employees, while her lack of formal education credentials limited advancement opportunities beyond shift supervision responsibilities. Linda Peterson worked the evening shift while completing her associate degree in business administration through online courses offered by the regional community college. Her academic pursuits reflected ambitions for career advancement that extended beyond food service, though the practical challenges of balancing work responsibilities with educational requirements created scheduling conflicts that affected both her employment performance and academic progress. The tension between immediate income needs and long-term career development illustrated the difficult choices facing workers in communities with limited professional opportunities. The part-time employees included high school students spending money and older workers supplementing retirement income or disability benefits through employment that accommodated physical limitations or schedule constraints. This diverse workforce created management challenges for Tom Henderson, who needed to coordinate varying availability while maintaining consistent service standards and operational efficiency during peak business periods. The supply chain relationships that supported Henderson's operations reflected both the advantages and limitations of small business procurement in rural communities. Local suppliers provided personal service and flexible payment terms that accommodated cash flow variations, while their higher costs and limited product selections created competitive disadvantages compared to restaurants with access to volume, purchasing and distribution networks serving urban markets. The meat supplier operated from a regional processing facility that served independent restaurants throughout Middle Tennessee, providing quality products with personalized service that included customized cutting and packaging to meet specific restaurant requirements. However, their pricing structure reflected the higher costs associated with smaller volume operations, creating food cost percentages that required careful menu planning and portion control to maintain profitability while delivering value that customers expected. The produce supplier operated a family business that had served local restaurants for 2 generations, offering seasonal specialties and flexible ordering that accommodated Henderson's variable demand patterns. The relationship included emergency deliveries when unexpected customer volume created inventory shortages, demonstrating the personal attention that distinguished small supplier relationships from corporate distribution systems. However, the Gyowa limited variety and seasonal availability constraints occasionally forced menu modifications that disappointed customers expecting consistent options. The technology infrastructure available to Henderson's reflected the broader challenges facing small businesses in rural communities where high-speed internet access and modern point-of-sale systems represented significant capital investments that competed with more immediate operational needs. The existing cash register system dated to the early 2000s and lacked integration capabilities that would enable inventory tracking, sales analytics, or customer relationship management functions that larger restaurants utilized for operational optimization. The internet connection provided basic web access and email communication, but lacked the bandwidth and reliability required for cloud-based business applications or video conferencing capabilities that could facilitate remote vendor relationships or staff training programs. These technological limitations created information isolation that prevented Henderson's from accessing modern business tools and resources that could improve operational efficiency and competitive positioning. The local business community consisted primarily of other small, family-owned operations that faced similar challenges related to technological modernization, workforce development, and economic adaptation in the post-industrial environment. The hardware store, auto repair shop, and regional bank branch operated with business models that had proven successful during the textile industry era, but struggled with adaptation to contemporary market conditions and customer expectations, shaped by urban retail experiences. The Millbrook Chamber of Commerce attempted to coordinate community economic development initiatives while operating with limited resources and volunteer leadership that balanced chamber activities with their primary business responsibilities. Monthly meetings typically focused on event planning and promotional activities rather than strategic economic development or business modernization programs that might address the systemic challenges facing the community's commercial sector. The Regional Economic Development Authority occasionally organized seminars addressing small business management topics such as marketing strategies, financial planning, and regulatory compliance. These educational programs provided valuable information, but rarely addressed the technological advancement and innovation strategies that could differentiate local businesses from competitors in larger markets or create new revenue opportunities through expanded service offerings. The banking relationships available to Henderson's reflected both the advantages and limitations of community financial institutions that understood local business conditions while operating with conservative lending criteria and limited capital. For business expansion financing, the regional bank had provided operational financing for equipment purchases and working capital during challenging periods, demonstrating personal relationships and community commitment that larger financial institutions rarely provided to small business customers. However, the bank's limited experience with technology businesses and innovative financing structures created obstacles for entrepreneurs pursuing non-traditional ventures or businesses that required different capital allocation patterns than established retail or service operations. The conservative approach to business lending reflected appropriate risk management for a community bank while creating barriers for ventures that might diversify the local economic base through new industry development. The workforce development resources available in Millbrook included community college programs that addressed traditional skilled trades and basic business skills, while lacking comprehensive technology training or entrepreneurship education that could prepare residents for participation in contemporary knowledge-based industries. The educational infrastructure reflected historical employment patterns rather than emerging economic opportunities that required different skill sets and career preparation strategies. The high school provided solid basic education with particular strength in practical subjects such as automotive technology, agricultural sciences, and business fundamentals that prepared students for employment in existing local industries. However, The computer science offerings consisted of basic skills training rather than programming or software development education that could prepare students for technology careers or entrepreneurial ventures requiring technical competencies. The community college system offered associate degree programs in business administration, healthcare support, and industrial maintenance that addressed regional employment opportunities while providing pathways for students who planned to transfer to four-year institutions for additional education. The practical focus of these programs reflected realistic assessment of local economic conditions, while potentially limiting student exposure to emerging fields that might create new economic opportunities for the region. The social environment in Millbrook reinforced traditional patterns of career development and life choices through family expectations, peer influences, and community assumptions about appropriate goals and realistic achievements for individuals from different backgrounds. These social pressures created both stability and limitation, providing supportive community relationships while discouraging pursuit of unconventional opportunities that involved risk, relocation, or challenges to established norms. Family expectations typically emphasized practical choices that provided economic security and community integration rather than ambitious pursuits that might require geographical mobility or extended educational investments with uncertain outcomes. Parents encouraged children to pursue stable employment in established industries, while expressing skepticism about entrepreneurial ventures or career paths that lacked local precedents for success. The peer relationships among young adults in Millbrook reflected these practical orientations through social activities and conversation topics that focused on immediate concerns rather than long-term career development or personal growth objectives that might require sustained effort and delayed gratification. The social environment provided comfort and belonging, while potentially limiting exposure to alternative perspectives and opportunities that could expand individual horizons. The cultural assumptions that governed community life included beliefs about the relationship between education, work, and success that reflected historical economic conditions rather than contemporary opportunities in technology-based industries or entrepreneurial ventures. These assumptions created skepticism about non-traditional career paths while reinforcing patterns of expectation and behavior that maintained community stability at the potential cost of economic diversification and individual advancement. The information environment in Millbrook limited exposure to contemporary business trends, technological developments, and entrepreneurial success stories that might inspire local residents to pursue innovative ventures or unconventional career strategies. The local newspaper focused on community events and regional news, rather than business development or economic opportunity coverage that could educate readers about emerging industries and career possibilities. The internet access available to most residents provided basic connectivity, but often lacked the speed and reliability required for comprehensive online education, remote work opportunities, or sophisticated research into business development strategies. This technological limitation created information gaps that reinforced traditional patterns of opportunity recognition and career planning, while limiting access to resources that could support entrepreneurial development or career transition. Planning. Within this environment of practical limitations and traditional expectations, my technology business development represented an anomaly that challenged conventional assumptions about realistic goals and appropriate career strategies. For individuals with my background and circumstances, the contradiction between my visible employment as a diner waitress and my actual professional activities as a software developer created a form of camouflage that allowed me to pursue unconventional objectives without triggering community skepticism or family pressure to abandon unrealistic pursuits in favor of more practical alternatives. This ecosystem of limitation provided both the motivation for my transformation efforts and the practical challenges that shaped my strategic approach to business development, relationship management, and resource allocation throughout my journey. From service industry employment to technology entrepreneurship and eventual corporate recognition. The foundation of my determination was forged in the cramped mobile home, where my family rebuilt their lives after my father's construction accident, left him permanently disabled and transformed our economic circumstances from working-class stability to persistent financial struggle. At 12 years old, I witnessed my mother, Rebecca Collins, evolve from a part-time bookkeeper who managed household finances with comfortable predictability into a woman who worked 3 jobs simultaneously while maintaining the emotional strength that held our family together through years of medical bills and uncertainty. My father, James Collins, had operated a small residential construction business that provided steady income and genuine pride in craftsmanship that created lasting value for homeowners throughout our region. His expertise in custom carpentry and renovation work had earned respect from clients who appreciated attention to detail and problem-solving abilities that transformed challenging projects into beautiful, functional spaces. The business represented 15 years of relationship building, skill development, and reputation establishment that provided both financial security and professional satisfaction. The accident occurred on a Tuesday morning in October when a load-bearing wall collapsed during a renovation project, trapping my father beneath structural timber and debris that crushed 3 vertebrae and created spinal cord damage that ended his construction career permanently. The subsequent months involved multiple surgeries, extensive rehabilitation, and gradual acceptance that his physical capabilities would never again support the demanding work that had defined his professional identity and provided our family's economic foundation. The medical expenses associated with my father's treatment and ongoing care created financial obligations that overwhelmed our health insurance coverage and consumed the modest savings that my parents had accumulated through years of careful financial management. The disability payments provided basic survival income, but represented a fraction of my father's previous earnings, forcing dramatic adjustments to every aspect of our family's lifestyle and future planning. My mother's transformation during this crisis period demonstrated resilience and strategic thinking that became the model for my own approach to overcoming systemic obstacles through creative problem-solving and sustained effort. She expanded her part-time bookkeeping services into a comprehensive accounting practice that served small businesses throughout our county, while simultaneously working evening shifts at a local grocery store and providing weekend house cleaning services for affluent families in nearby communities. The bookkeeping business that my mother developed during this period taught me crucial lessons about identifying underserved market opportunities and creating value propositions that addressed specific client needs within resource-constrained environments. Many of her clients were small business owners who needed professional accounting services, but could not afford the rates charged by established firms in larger cities. My mother's competitive advantage emerged from understanding their operational challenges while providing personalized service that larger accounting practices could not match due to their cost structures and client volume requirements. Watching my mother build her client base through referrals and exceptional service quality demonstrated the importance of reputation management and relationship building in professional service industries. She consistently delivered work that exceeded client expectations while maintaining pricing that remained accessible for small businesses operating with limited profit margins. This approach created customer loyalty that generated steady revenue growth and word-of-mouth marketing that expanded her practice without requiring expensive advertising investments. The grocery store employment provided my mother with immediate income during the critical period when her accounting practice was developing, while the weekend cleaning services offered additional revenue that helped cover emergency expenses and medical costs that continued accumulating despite insurance coverage. The combination of multiple income streams created financial stability, while requiring extraordinary time management and energy allocation that left limited availability for family activities or personal pursuits. My role within this transformed. Family dynamic included significant household responsibilities that developed organizational skills, time management capabilities, and practical problem-solving experience that would prove valuable throughout my subsequent career development. Preparing meals, managing laundry, and coordinating my father's medical appointments while maintaining academic performance required systematic planning and efficient execution that taught me to optimize limited resources while meeting multiple, competing demands. The academic expectations within our household remained high despite our changed economic circumstances, as my parents understood that educational achievement represented the primary pathway for their children to avoid the economic vulnerability that had devastated our family following my father's accident. However, the financial constraints that governed our daily lives meant that educational advancement would depend entirely on scholarship opportunities and academic merit rather than family financial support or professional connections that might create advantages for students from more privileged backgrounds. The public school system in our district provided solid basic education while lacking the advanced placement programs, technology resources, and college preparation services that characterized schools in wealthier communities. The computer laboratory consisted of outdated machines that provided basic word processing and internet access, but could not support sophisticated programming or multimedia development activities that might have introduced students to contemporary technology careers. My first exposure to computer programming occurred through a volunteer after-school program organized by a retired software engineer named Dr. Elizabeth Warren, who had relocated to our area after her retirement from a major technology company. Dr. Warren recognized the educational gap that prevented rural students from accessing technology education and donated her time to provide programming instruction using donated equipment and free software development tools. The programming concepts that Dr. Warren introduced included problem-solving methodologies, logical thinking processes, and systematic approaches to complex challenges that resonated with my analytical nature and practical orientation toward finding solutions for real-world problems. The initial projects involved simple applications that demonstrated programming principles, while creating useful tools such as budget calculators, schedule organizers, and basic databases that could address practical needs. Dr. Warren's mentorship extended beyond technical instruction to include discussions about technology industry careers, educational pathways, and strategic approaches to professional development in fields that required continuous learning and adaptation to rapidly changing technical requirements. Her insights about industry trends and emerging opportunities provided perspective that was unavailable through traditional guidance counseling or career education programs offered by our school system. The volunteer nature of Dr. Warren's program meant that instruction occurred irregularly and depended on her availability and health considerations that affected elderly volunteers. When her program ended due to health complications, I lost access to structured programming education, but retained the foundational knowledge and learning resources that enabled continued self-directed development through online tutorials and programming documentation available through internet research. The transition to independent learning required developing disciplined study habits and systematic approaches to complex technical subjects that pushed the boundaries of my existing knowledge and required persistence through frustrating periods. When programming concepts seemed incomprehensible, or when code implementations produced unexpected results that demanded careful debugging and problem analysis. The public library became my primary resource for continued programming education, providing internet access that was more reliable than our home connection and quiet study environments that enabled concentration during extended learning sessions. The librarians eventually recognized my regular presence and assisted with interlibrary loan requests for advanced programming books that were not available in our local collection. The economic pressures that continued affecting our family created urgency around developing practical skills that could generate income, rather than pursuing educational activities that might prove interesting but would not contribute to immediate financial needs. My part-time employment began during high school with weekend work at local retail establishments that provided modest income while teaching customer service skills and workplace professionalism that would prove valuable in subsequent career development. The restaurant employment that began during my senior year of high school provided exposure to food service operations while generating income that helped cover educational expenses and reduce the financial burden on my parents during a period when my father's medical costs remained substantial and my mother's accounting business faced seasonal revenue fluctuations that created cash flow challenges. The decision to remain in our community after high school graduation, rather than pursuing educational opportunities that would require relocation, reflected both financial constraints and family loyalty considerations that influenced my early career choices. The community college programs available locally provided affordable educational options while allowing me to maintain employment and contribute to family financial stability during continued challenging economic circumstances. The business administration courses that I completed through community college provided foundational knowledge about accounting principles, marketing concepts, and organizational management that complemented my self-directed programming education while creating credentials that might prove valuable for future employment opportunities. The combination of technical skills and business knowledge began forming the foundation for understanding how technology solutions could address practical business challenges. The practical experience gained through continued restaurant employment during community college provided insights into small business operations that revealed systematic inefficiencies and operational challenges that technology solutions might address effectively. These observations about inventory management, scheduling coordination, and customer relationship tracking began identifying potential applications for the programming skills that I continued developing through independent study. The family financial situation gradually stabilized as my mother's accounting practice reached sustainable revenue levels, and my father adapted to disability circumstances while contributing to household management responsibilities that did not require physical capabilities that had been affected by his accident. This stability created opportunities for me to allocate more time and energy toward programming skill development, without feeling that immediate income generation must take priority over long-term capability building. The recognition that technology skills might provide pathways to higher income career opportunities motivated increased commitment to programming education while creating pressure to achieve proficiency levels that would qualify me for professional employment in technology-related positions. The challenge involved developing marketable skills through self-directed learning while maintaining current employment that provided necessary income for basic living expenses. The strategic decision to focus on web development and business software applications reflected analysis of market opportunities within our geographic region and assessment of skill requirements that matched my educational background and learning preferences. The chosen specialization offered potential for both employment opportunities with existing businesses and entrepreneurial possibilities through independent software development services. The development of my first significant programming project occurred during this period when I created a comprehensive accounting system that addressed specific needs within my mother's bookkeeping practice, while demonstrating advanced technical capabilities that exceeded simple tutorial exercises or academic assignments. The project required integrating multiple programming languages, database management, and user interface design, while creating functionality that provided genuine business value. The success of this accounting system in improving operational efficiency within my mother's practice provided the first concrete evidence that my programming skills had reached professional competency levels, while creating a portfolio example that could demonstrate capabilities to potential clients or employers. The system reduced administrative time requirements, while improving accuracy and providing analytical capabilities that enhanced the service quality that my mother could offer to her clients. The confidence generated by this successful project motivated expansion into additional software development initiatives that addressed other business challenges within our local community, while building a portfolio of applications that demonstrated breadth and depth of technical capabilities across different problem domains and technical requirements. The networking opportunities that emerged through my mother's business relationships provided access to small business owners who might require technology services while creating credibility through family connections that reduced initial skepticism about engaging unknown service providers for important business applications. The gradual expansion of software development activities from family business applications to paying client projects represented the beginning of my transformation from restaurant employee who studied programming as a hobby into professional software developer who generated revenue through technology solutions that addressed real business needs. This foundation of family resilience, practical education, systematic skill development, and strategic opportunity recognition created the emotional and intellectual framework that would sustain me through the more challenging phases of building a technology business while maintaining service industry employment that provided financial security during the uncertain early stages of entrepreneurial development. The lessons learned through witnessing my mother's successful adaptation to economic crisis while building a professional service business provided models for strategic thinking, client relationship management, and revenue diversification that would prove crucial as my own business development progressed from local client services to scalable software solutions that could serve markets beyond our immediate geographic region. The opportunity that would transform my trajectory emerged through an unexpected convergence of circumstances during the second week of September, when a routine software maintenance visit to my mother's accounting office intersected with a crisis facing one of her most important clients. Marcus Richardson, who owned 3 auto repair shops across the county, had arrived at my mother's office in visible distress after his business management software had crashed permanently, taking 5 years of customer records, inventory data, and financial information with it. Richardson's technology provider, a regional firm that served automotive businesses throughout Tennessee, had suffered a catastrophic server failure that destroyed client data across multiple locations. The company's backup systems had failed simultaneously, creating a disaster that threatened the operational continuity of dozens of small businesses that depended on their centralized software platform. Richardson faced the prospect of rebuilding his entire business database from paper records while his competitors gained advantages through uninterrupted access to customer information and operational analytics. The conversation between Richardson and my mother revealed the broader scope of this technological catastrophe and its impact on small businesses throughout our region. The affected automotive shops included family operations that had served their communities for decades, building customer relationships and operational systems that represented generations of accumulated business knowledge. The sudden loss of digital records threatened not only immediate operational capacity, but also the competitive positioning that these businesses had developed through sophisticated customer service and inventory management capabilities. Richardson's immediate crisis involved the inability to access customer contact information for scheduled maintenance notifications, parts ordering history that enabled efficient inventory management, and warranty tracking systems that protected both the business and its customers from potential disputes. Without these technological capabilities, his shops would revert to manual operations that increased labor costs while reducing service quality and customer satisfaction levels that distinguished his business from competitors. The existing solutions, available to Richardson through established technology vendors, required months of implementation time and substantial capital investments that would strain cash flow during the critical period when his business operations were already compromised. The major automotive software providers focused on large dealership operations and offered packages that exceeded the financial resources and operational complexity requirements of independent repair shops serving local markets. The opportunity that emerged from this crisis reflected the intersection of my technical capabilities with a genuine market need that existing providers had failed to address adequately. Richardson's situation represented thousands of small automotive businesses that required sophisticated technology solutions but needed implementation approaches that accommodated limited budgets, accelerated timelines, and operational constraints that distinguished independent shops from corporate facilities with dedicated information technology support staff. My proposal to Richardson involved developing a comprehensive business management system specifically designed for independent automotive repair operations, incorporating the specific workflow requirements and industry standards that characterized his business model while ensuring rapid deployment that would minimize operational disruption during the recovery process. The system would integrate customer relationship management, inventory tracking, service scheduling, and financial reporting within a unified platform that could be customized for each location's specific operational requirements. The technical architecture that I proposed leveraged cloud-based infrastructure that would prevent the type of catastrophic data loss that had created Richardson's current crisis while providing scalability that could accommodate business growth and operational expansion. The system would include automated backup procedures, redundant data storage, and disaster recovery capabilities that exceeded the protection levels provided by the regional firm that had failed so dramatically. The development timeline that I committed to reflected both the urgency of Richardson's situation and my confidence in the technical approach that would enable rapid deployment without sacrificing system quality or functionality. The 6-week implementation schedule required intensive development effort while maintaining my continued employment at Henderson's Diner, creating logistical challenges that would test my ability to manage competing priorities under significant time pressure. Richardson's decision to engage my services represented a calculated risk that reflected both his desperate circumstances and his assessment of my technical capabilities based on the accounting system that I had developed for my mother's practice. The recommendation from my mother, whose professional judgment he respected, provided credibility that overcame his natural skepticism about entrusting critical business operations to an unknown software developer operating from a diner storage room. The contract negotiation process revealed Richardson's understanding of both the opportunity and risks associated with engaging an independent developer for such a critical business application. His terms included performance milestones that ensured incremental payment based on demonstrated functionality, while my pricing structure reflected the substantial value that successful implementation would provide to his operations while remaining accessible within his available budget constraints. The financial implications of this project extended far beyond the immediate compensation that Richardson would provide upon successful completion. The automotive repair industry represented a substantial market opportunity that included thousands of independent shops throughout the southeastern United States that faced similar operational challenges and technology needs. Successful implementation of Richardson's system would create a case study and reference client that could facilitate expansion into a broader market with significant revenue potential. The technical challenges associated with automotive business management software required understanding industry-specific workflows, regulatory requirements, and operational procedures that distinguished repair shops from other small business categories. The system needed to accommodate complex parts, ordering procedures, warranty tracking requirements, labor time calculations, and customer communication protocols that reflected the specialized nature of automotive service operations. The parts inventory management component required integration with multiple supplier databases and pricing systems that automotive shops used for procurement, while maintaining real-time tracking of stock levels and automated reordering capabilities that prevented service delays caused by parts shortages. The complexity of automotive parts catalogs, with their detailed specifications and compatibility requirements, demanded sophisticated database design and search functionality that could support efficient parts identification and ordering procedures. The customer relationship management functionality needed to accommodate the long-term service relationships that characterized automotive repair businesses, where individual customers might maintain relationships with shops for decades while owning multiple vehicles that required different service schedules and maintenance procedures. The system required vehicle history tracking, service reminder automation, and communication tools that supported the personalized customer service that distinguished successful independent shops from commercial chain operations. The labor management capabilities required integration with industry-standard labor time calculations, while accommodating the variations in technician skill levels and efficiency rates that affected actual completion times and pricing accuracy. The system needed to track individual technician performance, calculate accurate labor costs, and provide scheduling optimization that maximized shop productivity while ensuring quality service delivery. The financial reporting functionality required compliance with automotive industry accounting standards, while providing operational analytics that enabled business owners to identify profit optimization opportunities and operational efficiency improvements. The reports needed to integrate parts costs, labor expenses, overhead allocation, and revenue tracking in formats that supported both daily operational decisions and long-term strategic planning. The development process required establishing a dedicated workspace that could accommodate the intensive programming schedule, while maintaining security for sensitive business data and client information. I converted a corner of my apartment into a professional development environment with multiple monitors, secure internet connectivity, and backup power systems that ensured consistent productivity despite potential infrastructure interruptions. The research phase involved extensive analysis of automotive industry standards, regulatory requirements, and operational best practices that would influence system design decisions and functionality requirements. I studied existing software platforms to understand standard features while identifying opportunities for innovation and improvement that could differentiate my solution from established competitors. The database design process required creating sophisticated relational structures that could accommodate the complex relationships between customers, vehicles, services, parts, technicians, and financial transactions while ensuring optimal performance and scalability for future growth. The design needed to support complex queries and reporting requirements while maintaining data integrity and security standards appropriate for business-critical applications. The user interface development focused on creating intuitive workflows that would enable efficient operation by shop staff with varying levels of technical sophistication, while providing comprehensive functionality that supported all aspects of business operations. The interface design needed to accommodate the fast-paced environment of automotive repair shops, while providing easy access to detailed information when required for customer service or operational decisions. The testing phase involved creating comprehensive scenarios that simulated realistic business operations while identifying potential issues or limitations that could affect system performance or user satisfaction. The testing required collaboration with Richardson's staff to ensure that the system accommodated actual workflow requirements and operational constraints that characterize daily business activities. The training materials development required creating documentation and instructional resources that would enable effective system adoption by shop staff while providing ongoing reference support for advanced features and troubleshooting procedures. The training approach needed to accommodate busy operational schedules while ensuring thorough understanding of system capabilities and proper operational procedures. The implementation planning required coordinating system deployment with Richardson's operational schedule to minimize business disruption, while ensuring complete data migration and staff training that would enable immediate productive use of the new system. The implementation timeline needed to accommodate potential complications while maintaining the accelerated schedule that Richardson's situation required. The backup and security implementation required establishing robust data protection procedures that would prevent the type of catastrophic loss that had created Richardson's crisis, while ensuring compliance with privacy regulations and industry standards for sensitive customer information. The security measures needed to balance protection requirements with operational efficiency and user convenience. The performance optimization required ensuring that the system could handle peak operational loads while maintaining response times that supported efficient business operations during busy periods, when delays could affect customer service quality and staff productivity. The optimization process required testing under realistic load conditions while identifying potential bottlenecks that could affect system performance. The project management requirements included coordinating development activities with my continued employment responsibilities while maintaining quality standards and timeline commitments that would determine both Richardson's operational recovery and my reputation for future business development opportunities. The management challenge required extraordinary time allocation efficiency and energy management that would test my capacity for sustained high-performance work under pressure. This catalyst moment represented the transition from theoretical capability to practical application, where my programming skills would be tested against real business requirements and operational constraints that would determine whether my transformation aspirations had genuine merit or represented unrealistic expectations about translating self-taught technical knowledge into professional competency and business success. The magnitude of the technical challenge became apparent during the first week of development when I began mapping the intricate data relationships required for automotive repair shop operations. The complexity exceeded any project I had previously attempted, requiring integration of multiple industry-specific databases, real-time inventory synchronization, and compliance with automotive service standards that I had never encountered during my self-directed programming education. The parts catalog integration alone presented formidable obstacles that tested the boundaries of my technical knowledge and problem-solving capabilities. Automotive parts suppliers operated diverse database systems with incompatible formats, varying update schedules, and proprietary access protocols that required individual negotiation and technical integration approaches. The major suppliers included Standard Motor Products, Advance Auto Parts, Napa, and AutoZone, each maintaining extensive catalogs with millions of components organized through different classification systems and pricing structures. The technical documentation provided by these suppliers often assumed enterprise-level integration capabilities and dedicated information technology staff that could manage complex authentication procedures and data synchronization protocols. My situation as an independent developer working from a converted apartment corner required creative approaches to accessing and integrating these systems without the infrastructure and credentials that established software companies possessed through existing business relationships. The database schema design required accommodating the hierarchical relationships between vehicle manufacturers, model years, engine specifications, and compatible parts while maintaining query performance that could support real-time parts lookup. During customer service interactions, the complexity multiplied when considering that individual parts might fit multiple vehicle configurations while requiring different installation procedures and warranty terms depending on specific application. Context: the inventory management functionality demanded real-time synchronization between parts, consumption during service operations, and supplier availability data that changed continuously based on regional distribution patterns and seasonal demand. Fluctuations: the system needed to anticipate parts requirements based on scheduled service appointments while maintaining optimal inventory levels that minimized carrying costs without risking service delays caused by stockouts. The challenge intensified when I discovered that automotive repair workflows varied significantly between different service categories, requiring customizable process templates that could accommodate routine maintenance, diagnostic procedures, warranty repairs, and emergency services within the same operational framework. Each service type involved different labor calculations, parts requirements, customer communication protocols, and documentation standards that needed seamless integration within a unified system interface. The customer communication component required sophisticated automation capabilities that could generate service reminders based on vehicle mileage intervals, calendar schedules, and manufacturer recommendations, while accommodating customer preferences for communication methods and timing. The system needed to track multiple vehicles per customer, while maintaining service history continuity and warranty information that might affect future repair recommendations and pricing decisions. The financial reporting requirements demanded integration with accounting standards specific to automotive service operations, while providing operational metrics that enabled business optimization and profitability analysis. The reports needed to accommodate complex labor calculations, parts markup strategies, tax compliance requirements, and performance analytics that distinguish successful shops from struggling operations within competitive markets. The technical architecture decisions required balancing system performance requirements with development timeline constraints while ensuring scalability that could accommodate Richardson's potential business expansion and future client implementations. The cloud infrastructure design needed to provide reliable performance during peak operational periods, while maintaining cost structures that remained viable for small business clients with limited technology budgets. The security implementation presented particularly complex challenges given the sensitive nature of customer information and financial data that would be processed and stored within the system. The security measures needed to comply with privacy regulations while providing convenient access for authorized users operating within fast-paced service environments where authentication delays could affect customer satisfaction and operational efficiency. The user interface development required creating intuitive workflows that could be mastered quickly by shop staff, with varying levels of technical sophistication, while providing comprehensive functionality that supported complex operational requirements. The interface design needed to accommodate different screen sizes and input methods, while maintaining consistency across all system components and user interaction scenarios. The testing protocols required simulating realistic operational scenarios that could identify potential system failures or performance limitations before deployment in Richardson's production environment. The testing process needed to validate data integrity, system performance, security effectiveness, and user interface functionality while operating within the compressed development timeline that Richardson's situation demanded. The development environment management required establishing version control procedures, backup systems, and collaborative workflows that could support intensive programming activities while maintaining code quality and documentation standards appropriate for business-critical applications. The environment needed to accommodate rapid iteration cycles while preserving system stability and facilitating future maintenance and enhancement activities. The integration testing required coordinating with Richardson's existing operational systems and procedures to ensure seamless data migration and workflow compatibility that would enable immediate productive use upon deployment. The integration process needed to accommodate potential compatibility issues while maintaining operational continuity during the transition period. The documentation requirements included creating comprehensive user manuals, system administration guides, and troubleshooting resources that would enable effective system utilization and maintenance without requiring ongoing developer support. For routine operational questions, the documentation needed to accommodate different user skill levels while providing complete coverage of system capabilities and operational procedures. The training program development required creating instructional materials and procedures that could enable effective system adoption by Richardson's staff within the compressed timeline while ensuring thorough understanding of system capabilities and proper operational protocols. The training approach needed to accommodate busy operational schedules while providing hands-on experience with realistic scenarios that prepared users for actual working conditions. The timeline pressure created additional complexity, as I attempted to maintain quality standards while accelerating development activities beyond the pace that prudent software development practices typically recommended. The compressed schedule required working extended hours while managing the physical and mental fatigue that could affect code quality and decision-making effectiveness during critical development phases. The resource allocation challenges intensified when I realized that successful completion of Richardson's project would require investments in additional development tools, enhanced internet connectivity, and backup systems that exceeded my available budget while competing with basic living expenses and continued employment obligations at Henderson's Diner. The financial pressures required creative solutions for accessing necessary resources without compromising project quality or timeline commitments. The learning curve associated with automotive industry standards and operational requirements demanded rapid acquisition of specialized knowledge that extended far beyond programming skills to include understanding of business processes, regulatory, compliance, and customer service protocols that characterized successful repair shop operations. The industry knowledge acquisition required extensive research and consultation while maintaining development productivity within timeline constraints. The isolation of working independently on such a complex project created psychological pressures that affected both motivation and technical decision-making during challenging development phases. The absence of collaborative relationships with other developers meant that complex technical problems required individual resolution without the peer consultation and knowledge sharing that characterized team-based development environments. The quality assurance challenges required establishing testing procedures that could identify potential issues and system limitations without access to automated testing tools and comprehensive testing environments that established software companies utilized for complex application development. The testing approach needed to provide reasonable confidence in system reliability while accommodating resource constraints and timeline pressures. The client relationship management during this intensive development period required maintaining regular communication with Richardson while managing his expectations about development progress and potential complications that could affect timeline or functionality commitments. The communication needed to provide transparency about development challenges while maintaining confidence in successful project completion. The contingency planning required identifying potential technical obstacles and resource limitations that could threaten project success while developing alternative approaches and escalation procedures that could address complications without compromising timeline commitments or system quality standards. The contingency plans needed to address both technical failures and resource availability issues that could emerge during intensive development phases. The performance optimization required ensuring that the system could handle realistic operational loads while maintaining response times that supported efficient business operations during peak activity periods when delays could affect customer service quality and staff productivity. The optimization process required testing under simulated load conditions while identifying potential bottlenecks that could affect system performance during actual deployment. The deployment preparation required coordinating system installation procedures with Richardson's operational schedule, while ensuring complete data migration and system configuration that would enable immediate productive use without disrupting ongoing business operations. The deployment planning needed to accommodate potential complications while maintaining the accelerated timeline that Richardson's crisis situation required. This first major challenge tested every aspect of my technical capabilities while requiring strategic thinking about resource allocation, timeline management, and quality standards that would determine both the immediate project success and my longer-term credibility for future business development opportunities. The complexity demanded growth in technical sophistication while maintaining the discipline and persistence that would enable successful completion, despite obstacles that could justify project abandonment by less committed developers. The complications began accumulating during the third week of development when Richardson called with urgent news that 2 additional automotive repair shop owners had learned about the software project and requested immediate implementation for their operations. James Mitchell, who operated 2 locations in adjacent counties, and Angela Torres, whose family had run a transmission specialty shop for 3 generations, both faced similar crises after their existing software provider had announced permanent closure following the data disaster that had initially affected Richardson's business. Richardson's enthusiasm about expanding the client base reflected his understanding of the market opportunity, while simultaneously creating pressure that threatened to overwhelm my development capacity and compromise the quality standards that would determine long-term success for all involved parties. The prospect of serving multiple clients provided financial benefits that could accelerate my business development, while creating technical challenges that exceeded the scope of any project I had previously attempted. Mitchell's operations presented additional complexity because his 2 locations served different market segments within the automotive repair industry. The primary location focused on general automotive service and routine maintenance for passenger vehicles, while the secondary facility specialized in commercial fleet maintenance for local businesses that operated delivery trucks, utility vehicles, and specialized equipment requiring different parts sourcing, labor calculations, and service scheduling approaches. The fleet maintenance requirements demanded sophisticated scheduling algorithms that could accommodate preventive maintenance intervals, regulatory compliance inspections, and emergency repair prioritization that minimized operational disruption. For commercial clients whose vehicle downtime directly affected their business revenues, the system needed to coordinate maintenance activities across multiple vehicles while optimizing technician assignments and parts availability to maximize efficiency and minimize client inconvenience. Torres's transmission specialty operation required even more specialized functionality that addressed the unique workflows and technical requirements associated with transmission repair and rebuilding services. The parts catalogs for transmission components involved complex compatibility matrices that considered vehicle year, engine specifications, transmission models, and performance modifications that affected component selection and installation. Procedures. The transmission repair process involved diagnostic procedures, disassembly documentation, component evaluation, parts ordering, rebuilding sequences, testing protocols, and warranty tracking that required specialized database structures and workflow management capabilities. The system needed to accommodate custom rebuilding specifications while maintaining compliance with warranty requirements and industry standards for transmission service operations. The compressed timeline for serving multiple clients simultaneously required fundamental changes to my development approach and resource allocation strategies. The original 6-week commitment to Richardson had assumed dedicated focus on a single implementation, while serving 3 clients within the same time frame demanded parallel development activities and systematic code reuse that could accelerate deployment without compromising customization requirements for each operation. The technical architecture required redesigning core system components to support multi-tenant deployment while maintaining data isolation and security standards appropriate. For competitive businesses operating within the same geographic market, the infrastructure needed to accommodate different customization requirements while sharing common functionality that could reduce development overhead and maintenance complexity. The database design required creating flexible schemas that could accommodate the varying operational requirements of general automotive service, fleet maintenance, and transmission specialty operations within unified system architecture. The design needed to support different parts catalogs, labor calculation methods, service procedures, and reporting requirements while maintaining query performance and data integrity across all client implementations. The user interface development required creating configurable workflows that could be customized for different operational requirements while maintaining intuitive operation and consistent user experience across all system variations. The interface design needed to accommodate different service categories, technician skill levels, and customer interaction patterns while providing seamless integration of shared functionality. The financial implications of serving multiple clients created both opportunities and risks that required careful evaluation of resource allocation and timeline management strategies. The additional revenue would provide financial stability that could support full-time focus on software development while creating obligations that could result in significant financial and reputational damage if implementation commitments could not be fulfilled successfully. The client relationship management became increasingly complex as I needed to coordinate requirements gathering, progress reporting, and expectation management across 3 different business operations while maintaining confidentiality about competitive information and proprietary operational procedures. The communication protocols needed to provide transparency about development progress while protecting each client's business interests and operational privacy. The testing requirements expanded dramatically as each client implementation required comprehensive validation of customized functionality while ensuring that shared system components maintained reliability and performance standards across all operational scenarios. The testing protocols needed to simulate realistic operational conditions for each business type, while identifying potential conflicts or limitations that could affect system performance or data integrity. The training program development required creating specialized instructional materials for different operational workflows while maintaining efficiency that could accommodate the accelerated deployment timeline. The training approach needed to address varying staff skill levels and operational requirements while ensuring thorough understanding of system capabilities and proper operational procedures for each business type. The deployment coordination required scheduling system installation activities across 3 different locations while ensuring minimal operational disruption and complete data migration that would enable immediate productive use. The deployment timeline needed to accommodate potential complications while maintaining realistic expectations about system availability and staff readiness for operational transition. The quality assurance challenges multiplied as system complexity increased and deployment timeline compressed, requiring more sophisticated testing procedures and risk management strategies that could identify potential issues before they affected client operations. The quality standards needed to balance comprehensive validation with timeline constraints while maintaining confidence in system reliability and performance. The resource requirements expanded beyond my individual capacity to include additional development tools, enhanced infrastructure, and potential collaboration with specialized consultants who could address technical challenges that exceeded my expertise in specific areas such as transmission repair workflows or fleet maintenance regulations. The resource expansion needed to maintain cost structures that preserved project profitability while ensuring successful implementation. The learning curve intensified as I needed to rapidly acquire specialized knowledge about transmission repair, procedures, fleet maintenance requirements, and commercial vehicle service standards while maintaining development productivity and code quality. The industry knowledge acquisition required extensive research and consultation with subject matter experts, while managing time constraints and development obligations. The competitive pressure increased when I learned that established automotive software providers were aggressively pursuing the clients affected by the original data disaster, offering expedited implementation services and temporary discounts that could undermine my opportunity to serve these markets. The competitive response required demonstrating superior value propositions while maintaining realistic pricing that reflected my cost structure and timeline capabilities. The technical debt management became critical as rapid development and parallel implementation activities created potential shortcuts and suboptimal code structures that could affect long-term system maintainability and performance. The debt management required balancing immediate delivery requirements with sustainable development practices that would support future enhancement and maintenance activities. The documentation requirements expanded to include comprehensive system administration guides, troubleshooting procedures, and maintenance protocols that would enable effective ongoing operation without requiring continuous developer support. The documentation needed to address different technical skill levels while providing complete coverage of system capabilities and operational procedures for each business type. The backup and disaster recovery planning required establishing robust data protection procedures that would prevent the type of catastrophic loss that had created the original crisis, while ensuring compliance with privacy regulations and industry standards for sensitive customer information. The recovery procedures needed to accommodate different operational requirements while providing confidence in data security and system availability. The performance optimization required ensuring that expanded system functionality could handle realistic operational loads across multiple client implementations while maintaining response times that supported efficient business operations during peak activity periods. The optimization process required testing under simulated load conditions while identifying potential bottlenecks that could affect system performance during concurrent usage. The financial planning required establishing cash flow projections and resource allocation strategies that could support expanded development activities while maintaining basic living expenses and continued employment obligations at Henderson's Diner. The financial management needed to balance immediate project requirements with longer-term business development opportunities that could emerge from successful implementation. The legal considerations required understanding contractual obligations and liability issues associated with serving multiple clients simultaneously while protecting intellectual property rights and maintaining confidentiality about proprietary business information. The legal framework needed to provide protection for all parties while enabling flexible implementation approaches that could accommodate different operational requirements. The risk management planning required identifying potential technical, financial, and operational obstacles that could threaten project success while developing contingency strategies that could address complications without compromising timeline commitments or quality standards. The risk assessment needed to consider both individual client requirements and systemic issues that could affect all implementations simultaneously. This escalation of stakes tested every aspect of my strategic thinking, technical capabilities, and project management skills while creating opportunities that could accelerate my business development beyond anything I had previously envisioned. The complexity demanded growth in professional sophistication while maintaining the focus and determination that would enable successful completion despite obstacles that could justify scaling back commitments to more manageable levels. The system failure occurred at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday morning during the 5th week of development, when a cascading database corruption destroyed 3 weeks of programming work and compromised the entire technical architecture that supported all 3 client implementations. The disaster began with what appeared to be a minor connectivity issue, but escalated into complete data loss when my backup systems, which I had assumed were functioning properly, revealed fundamental flaws that rendered months of development work irretrievable. The initial indication of trouble appeared as unusual error messages during routine database synchronization procedures that I was performing as part of my standard late-night development routine. The synchronization process had been running smoothly for weeks, automatically backing up development progress and maintaining version control for the complex codebase that served Richardson's, Mitchell's, and Torres's automotive software requirements. The error messages suggested temporary connectivity issues that would resolve with system restart procedures. The attempted system recovery revealed the catastrophic scope of the failure when restart procedures triggered additional corruption that propagated through interconnected database tables and destroyed referential integrity across the entire development environment. The corruption affected not only the current working versions of the software, but also the historical backups that should have provided recovery options for restoring previous stable versions of the system. The backup system analysis revealed fundamental architectural flaws in my data protection strategies that had remained undetected during months of successful operation. The backup procedures had been silently failing to capture complete database snapshots while maintaining superficial indicators that suggested successful data protection. The incremental backup approach that I had implemented to conserve storage space had created dependencies between backup files that made restoration impossible when the primary database suffered structural damage. The immediate implications of this failure extended far beyond technical inconvenience to threaten the contractual obligations and professional reputation that represented my entire transformation strategy. Richardson, Mitchell, and Torres had committed significant resources and operational planning based on delivery timelines that were now impossible to meet using conventional recovery approaches. The failure occurred during the critical period when all 3 clients were preparing staff training and operational transitions that depended on software availability within the original 6-week commitment. The financial consequences of the failure created immediate survival pressures that competed directly with the resources and time required for system recovery efforts. The development work that had been lost represented hundreds of hours of programming effort that would need to be recreated, while my living expenses and basic survival needs continued accumulating without corresponding income from the delayed project completions. The contracted payments from all 3 clients depended on successful system delivery, creating a cash flow crisis that threatened both project completion and basic economic stability. The client communication challenges required explaining the technical disaster to business owners who had limited understanding of software development complexities, while maintaining their confidence in eventual project completion despite circumstances that appeared to validate skepticism about engaging an inexperienced developer for critical business applications. The conversations required balancing honesty about the severity of the setback with reassurance about recovery strategies and revised timeline commitments. Richardson's response reflected both disappointment and understanding, as his own experience with catastrophic technology failures provided perspective about the unpredictable nature of complex systems. However, his operational pressures continued mounting as his business struggled with manual procedures that reduced efficiency and customer service quality, while competitors gained market advantages through uninterrupted access to sophisticated technology systems. His patience had practical limits determined by business survival needs rather than personal sympathy for my circumstances. Mitchell's reaction revealed more significant concern about the timeline delay and its impact on his planned expansion activities that depended on operational efficiency improvements that the software was designed to provide. His commercial fleet clients operated on contracts that included performance standards and penalty clauses that created financial obligations when service delays or quality issues affected their business operations. The software delay threatened his ability to meet these contractual obligations while maintaining competitive positioning in commercial service markets. Torres's response reflected the generational perspective of a family business that had survived multiple economic disruptions through conservative planning and careful risk management. Her initial skepticism about engaging an unknown developer for critical business software appeared validated by the current circumstances, creating pressure to reconsider the engagement and pursue alternatives through established technology providers, who offered greater operational stability and professional resources. The technical recovery options required fundamental reconsideration of development strategies and architectural approaches that could prevent similar failures while accelerating reconstruction of the lost functionality. The recovery process needed to balance comprehensive data protection with development speed, while incorporating lessons learned from the disaster to create more robust and reliable system infrastructure. The complete reconstruction approach involved rebuilding the entire system from architectural foundations using improved database design, enhanced backup procedures, and more sophisticated error handling that could prevent or contain similar failures in future development activities. This approach would provide the most reliable long-term solution while requiring substantial time investment that would extend project timelines significantly beyond original commitments. The partial reconstruction strategy involved salvaging recoverable code components and system documentation while rebuilding corrupted elements using accelerated development techniques that prioritized speed over comprehensive optimization. This approach could reduce reconstruction time while creating potential technical debt that might affect long-term system performance and maintainability. The hybrid recovery approach involved reconstructing core system functionality using simplified architectures that could be implemented rapidly while planning future enhancement phases that would add sophisticated features after successful deployment of basic operational capabilities. This strategy could meet immediate client needs while establishing foundations for continued system development and improvement. The resource allocation decisions required determining how to fund extended development activities while maintaining basic living expenses and employment obligations that provided financial stability during the recovery period. The original project timelines had assumed completion within specific timeframes that would enable transition from part-time technology work to full-time software development business operations. The extended timeline created impossible scheduling, conflicts between the intensive programming effort required for system reconstruction and my continued employment obligations at Henderson's Diner. The restaurant work provided essential income during the recovery period while consuming time and energy that were desperately needed for client project completion. The competing demands created physical and mental exhaustion that affected both employment performance and programming productivity. The emotional impact of the failure tested my psychological resilience and commitment to the transformation strategy that had sustained me through years of preparation and initial business development. The disaster appeared to validate family skepticism about pursuing unrealistic goals while abandoning practical career paths that provided stable employment and predictable advancement opportunities within established industries. The isolation of managing the crisis independently intensified the psychological pressure, as I struggled with technical challenges that exceeded my previous experience while maintaining client relationships and employment responsibilities without support systems or collaborative resources that established software companies provided during similar emergencies. The absence of mentorship or peer consultation meant that recovery strategies required individual development and implementation without validation from experienced professionals. The imposter syndrome that had remained manageable during successful development phases became overwhelming when confronted with evidence that my technical capabilities might be insufficient for the professional responsibilities that I had undertaken. The failure suggested that self-taught programming skills and independent business development might be inadequate substitutes for formal education and established industry experience when managing complex professional obligations. The family reactions to news of the software disaster ranged from sympathetic concern to expressions of relief that the unrealistic technology pursuits might finally end, allowing me to focus on conventional career development within industries that provided stable employment and predictable advancement opportunities. The comments reflected genuine care for my welfare while reinforcing doubts about the viability of unconventional career strategies that involved substantial risk and uncertain outcomes. Aunt Patricia's response embodied the family skepticism that had persisted throughout my technology business development efforts. Her observations about the predictable consequences of pursuing ambitious goals without adequate preparation or professional credentials appeared validated by current circumstances. The disaster provided evidence that supported her long-standing arguments about accepting practical limitations and pursuing realistic objectives within established career frameworks. The competitive threats intensified as established automotive software providers aggressively pursued the clients who had been affected by my system failure, offering expedited implementation services and stability guarantees that highlighted the risks associated with engaging independent developers for critical business applications. The competitive pressure created urgency around recovery efforts while reducing client patience for extended reconstruction timelines. The legal considerations included contractual obligations and potential liability issues related to the project, delays and their impact on client business operations. The original agreements included timeline commitments and performance standards that were now impossible to meet using original approaches, creating potential disputes and financial obligations that could compound the existing crisis. The health impacts of sustained stress and exhaustion began affecting both physical capabilities and mental clarity during the period when optimal performance was most crucial for successful crisis management. The combination of intensive programming work, employment obligations, client management, and financial pressures created unsustainable conditions that threatened long-term capacity for continued effort, regardless of strategic approaches to technical recovery. This convergence of technical failure, financial pressure, client disappointment, family skepticism, competitive threats, and personal exhaustion created the ultimate test of the determination and strategic thinking that had sustained my transformation efforts through previous challenges. The crisis demanded fundamental reassessment of goals, strategies, and capabilities while maintaining the focus and persistence necessary for recovery efforts that would determine both immediate project outcomes and long-term business viability. The breakthrough emerged during the darkest hour of my crisis, when exhaustion and desperation compelled me to reconsider fundamental assumptions about software architecture and client service delivery that had constrained my thinking throughout the development process. At 3:30 in the morning, while staring at corrupted database files that represented months of destroyed work, I experienced a moment of clarity that transformed my understanding of both the technical challenges and the market opportunity that lay beneath them. The revelation centered on recognizing that my approach to custom software development for individual clients represented an inherently flawed business model that created unnecessary complexity while limiting scalability potential. Rather than building separate customized systems for Richardson, Mitchell, and Torres, I could develop a unified platform with configurable modules that addressed the specialized requirements of different automotive service categories while sharing common infrastructure and core functionality. The modular architecture concept emerged from analyzing the fundamental similarities underlying automotive repair operations, regardless of their specialization areas. Every shop required customer relationship management, inventory tracking, service scheduling, technician management, and financial reporting capabilities. The differences lay in workflow customization, parts catalog integration, and reporting structures rather than core business logic that could be standardized across all implementations. This architectural insight suggested that the catastrophic system failure might represent an opportunity rather than merely a disaster. Instead of reconstructing 3 separate custom applications, I could develop a comprehensive automotive business management platform that would serve the immediate needs of my current clients while creating a scalable product that could be marketed to hundreds of similar businesses throughout the automotive service industry. The platform approach would address the fundamental challenges that had created my current crisis while establishing foundations for sustainable business growth that extended beyond individual client implementations. The shared infrastructure would reduce development complexity while enabling rapid deployment for new clients through configuration rather than custom programming. The standardized core functionality would facilitate comprehensive testing and quality assurance while reducing maintenance overhead across all client installations. The technical architecture for this unified platform required sophisticated design decisions that balanced flexibility with standardization while maintaining performance standards appropriate for mission-critical business applications. The system needed to accommodate diverse operational requirements through configurable workflows and customizable interfaces without sacrificing the reliability and security that automotive businesses required for daily operations. The database design strategy involved creating flexible schemas that could accommodate different automotive service categories through metadata-driven configuration rather than structural customization. The approach would enable rapid deployment of new client installations while maintaining data integrity and query performance across all system variations. The shared database infrastructure would facilitate comprehensive backup and recovery, procedures that prevented the type of catastrophic data loss that had created my current crisis. The user interface framework required developing component-based architectures that enabled customization of workflows and display formats through configuration parameters rather than custom coding. The interface system needed to accommodate different operational requirements while maintaining intuitive operation and consistent user experience across all platform variations. The standardized interface components would facilitate comprehensive testing while reducing training requirements for users transitioning between different system implementations. The implementation strategy for this platform approach required coordinating immediate client needs with longer-term product development objectives, while managing resource constraints and timeline pressures that had intensified following the system failure. The development plan needed to prioritize core functionality that could serve current client requirements while establishing architectural foundations that would support future enhancement and market expansion activities. The client communication strategy required explaining the revised approach to Richardson, Mitchell, and Torres, while demonstrating how the platform concept would provide superior functionality and reliability compared to the original custom development approach. The conversations needed to rebuild confidence in project completion while establishing realistic expectations about timeline adjustments and implementation procedures that would accommodate the new architectural approach. Richardson's response to the platform concept reflected both skepticism about additional delays and genuine interest in the enhanced functionality that the unified approach would provide. His business experience suggested that standardized solutions often provided more reliable performance while reducing long-term maintenance costs compared to custom applications that required ongoing developer support for updates and modifications. The platform approach aligned with his practical orientation toward technology investments that provided measurable business value while minimizing operational complexity. Mitchell's evaluation of the revised approach focused on the scalability, benefits that could support his expansion plans while providing operational consistency across multiple locations. The standardized platform would enable centralized management of inventory, scheduling, and financial reporting, while maintaining local customization for different service categories and customer requirements. The approach addressed his concerns about system reliability, while providing growth capabilities that exceeded the original custom development scope. Torres's assessment reflected the conservative risk management perspective that characterized her family business approach to technology investments. The platform concept provided the standardization and vendor stability that she preferred, while maintaining the specialized functionality required for transmission repair operations. The shared infrastructure offered greater confidence in long-term system support and enhancement capabilities, compared to custom applications that depended entirely on individual developer availability and expertise. The financial implications of the platform approach required fundamental reconsideration of pricing strategies and revenue models that could accommodate immediate client needs while supporting longer-term product development and market expansion activities. The platform licensing approach would provide recurring revenue streams that supported ongoing development and customer support activities while reducing client exposure to developer dependency and project completion risks. The development resource requirements for the platform approach demanded intensive programming effort during the initial implementation phase, while establishing code reusability and architectural efficiencies that would accelerate future client deployments. The initial investment in comprehensive platform development would exceed the effort required for individual custom applications, while creating scalable foundations that could serve hundreds of automotive businesses without proportional increases in development and support overhead. The competitive positioning strategy for the platform approach required analyzing market opportunities and differentiation strategies that could establish competitive advantages over established automotive software providers. The platform concept would compete directly with enterprise software solutions while targeting small and medium-sized automotive businesses that required sophisticated functionality at accessible price points with implementation timelines that accommodated operational urgency. The market research revealed substantial opportunities within the automotive service industry for software solutions that combined enterprise-level functionality with small business accessibility and implementation flexibility. The existing solutions typically served either large dealership operations with substantial technology budgets or small shops with basic needs that could be addressed through simple point-of-sale systems. The middle market represented thousands of businesses that required sophisticated operational management capabilities while maintaining cost structures and implementation approaches that accommodated independent business constraints. The product development roadmap required prioritizing core functionality that would serve immediate client needs while establishing architectural foundations that could support advanced features and market expansion activities. The development plan needed to balance speed of initial deployment with comprehensive platform capabilities that would differentiate the solution from existing market alternatives while providing scalable foundations for future enhancement and customization. The testing and quality assurance strategies for the platform approach required developing comprehensive validation procedures that could ensure reliability across multiple operational scenarios while accommodating the accelerated timeline that client commitments demanded. The testing protocols needed to validate shared infrastructure components while confirming that configurable elements functioned properly across different automotive service specializations and workflow requirements. The deployment strategy required coordinating platform installation across multiple client locations while ensuring successful data migration and staff training that would enable immediate productive use. The deployment approach needed to accommodate potential complications while maintaining realistic timelines that balanced client expectations with technical implementation requirements and quality standards appropriate for business-critical applications. The support and maintenance framework required establishing procedures and resources that could provide ongoing customer assistance while maintaining platform enhancement and development activities. The support structure needed to accommodate different client technical sophistication levels while providing efficient resolution of operational issues and guidance for optimal system utilization across diverse automotive service environments. The documentation and training programs required developing comprehensive resources that would enable effective platform adoption and utilization across different automotive service categories, while minimizing ongoing support requirements and maximizing client success with system implementation. The training approach needed to accommodate busy operational schedules while ensuring thorough understanding of platform capabilities and proper operational procedures for each business type. The intellectual property and business structure considerations required establishing legal frameworks that protected platform innovations while enabling flexible licensing and partnership arrangements that could support market expansion and strategic development opportunities. The business structure needed to accommodate both immediate client service requirements and longer-term product development and marketing activities that would establish sustainable competitive positioning within the automotive software market. This fundamental shift in strategic approach transformed the crisis from a catastrophic failure into a catalyst for breakthrough innovation that would establish foundations for sustainable business growth beyond anything I had previously envisioned. The platform concept addressed the technical, financial, and operational challenges that had created the crisis while opening market opportunities that could support full-time technology business development and eventual industry leadership within the automotive service software market. The implementation of this revised strategy required extraordinary commitment and technical execution during a period when confidence and resources had reached critical low points. The success of the platform approach would determine not only the immediate project outcomes but also the viability of my entire transformation strategy and the credibility of my capabilities for future business development and professional advancement within the technology industry. The implementation of the platform strategy required immediate and comprehensive restructuring of both technical architecture and business operations, while maintaining the accelerated timeline that client commitments demanded. The transition from custom development to unified platform creation represented a fundamental shift in strategic approach that would determine the success or failure of my entire transformation initiative during this critical recovery period. The technical foundation for the new platform required establishing robust infrastructure that could support multiple client implementations, while maintaining the performance standards and security protocols that automotive businesses required for mission-critical operations. The architecture decisions made during this reconstruction phase would influence system capabilities, scalability potential, and maintenance requirements throughout the platform's operational lifetime. The database architecture underwent complete redesign to accommodate the metadata-driven configuration approach that would enable rapid deployment of customized solutions without requiring individual code development for each client implementation. The new schema incorporated flexible table structures that could accommodate diverse automotive service workflows through configuration parameters rather than structural modifications. This approach would enable standardized backup procedures, simplified maintenance protocols, and consistent performance optimization across all client installations. The core business logic modules required development of standardized functions that could accommodate the operational requirements of general automotive repair, fleet maintenance, and transmission specialty services through configurable parameters and workflow customization. The modular approach enabled code reuse across different client implementations while maintaining the specialized functionality that each business category required for optimal operational efficiency. The user interface framework underwent fundamental redesign to support configuration-driven customization that could accommodate different operational workflows without requiring custom interface development. The component-based architecture enabled rapid deployment of customized user experiences while maintaining consistent design standards and intuitive operation across all platform variations. The standardized interface components facilitated comprehensive testing procedures while reducing training requirements for staff transitioning to the new system. The integration capabilities required sophisticated design that could accommodate the diverse supplier relationships and external systems that characterized automotive service operations. The platform needed to support multiple parts catalog integrations, payment processing systems, and regulatory compliance reporting while maintaining flexible architecture that could accommodate additional integrations as client requirements evolved and industry standards changed. The security implementation received enhanced attention following the data disaster that had destroyed the previous development work. The platform incorporated multiple layers of data protection, including encrypted storage, secure transmission, protocols, automated backup procedures, and disaster recovery capabilities that exceeded industry standards for small business applications. The security architecture balanced comprehensive protection with operational efficiency, while ensuring compliance with privacy regulations and industry requirements for sensitive customer information. The quality assurance framework required developing comprehensive testing procedures that could validate platform functionality across multiple configuration scenarios, while ensuring that shared infrastructure components maintained reliability and performance under diverse operational conditions. The testing protocols incorporated automated validation routines that could identify potential issues before they affected client operations, while enabling rapid deployment of platform updates and enhancements. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.